Get us into the meeting, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich opens at 5 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Councillor Drouillard.
In accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, I, Marilys Drouillard, have a pecuniary interest with respect to municipal grants request item 16D under the CAO Treasurer's Report, indirect interest, volunteer membership. I'm a member or volunteer for the Optimist Club, fundraisers, Wellestown Ag Society, Bacchus Page, WEDS, and Rural Roots.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to declare as well for item 10A, the Court of Revision on the Pierce Drain. I will excuse myself from those proceedings. I have a family connection to the drain being considered in that Court of Revision. Is there anything else from council? Seeing none. Everyone was forwarded a copy of the draft minutes. Is there any corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, Clerk Tara.
The minutes are approved as distributed.
Thank you. Are there any items not listed on the agenda?
None.
I would like to, we received a letter from Cameron Allen with regards to rural lot development. I would like to speak to that this evening and maybe potentially put forward a motion to the province. So.
We have an item. Let me find it. Correspondence. Anyway, we do have an item concern. Under 18, we can include it at that time.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're into our reports. Number 5, our Public Works Department Manager of Roads and Facilities Monthly Report. Are there any questions from council? I don't see any. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drouillard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Manager of Roads and Facilities titled Monthly Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Number 6, the Water Department, the Water Operations Manager Monthly Report. Any questions from council? I see none. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Water Operations Manager titled Monthly Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. The Wastewater Department, Wastewater Operator Monthly Report. Any questions or concerns with that report? Councillor Pemberton.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Henson, through you. Yeah, and I know this has been brought up before, but as a report, it's the highest I've seen. It says we were at capacity of 96.16%, and I know we're working towards that, and just thought it should be brought up again to say we need to continue to work towards that.
Any other questions or concerns? It is a concern, and I noted that as well, and I think you could probably relate that to the weather in February. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drouillard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Wastewater Operator titled Monthly Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Sorry. Building Department, a monthly building activity report. Any questions on that? I see none. Council has been provided with a report as of last Friday and had time to do their homework and go through it. So if they had any questions, they could have brought them forward. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drillard, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the chief building official titled Monthly Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. The Fire Chief Monthly Report. Questions from council? Seeing none, I'll just make a comment. The reports are quite good, so I want to commend staff for their reporting. There was some questions of council in the past. We're looking for more information, and I certainly think that's being provided at this time. Clerk Tara?
Also, I just want to say also that 2 or 3 of them went to look at a chassis or something yesterday or the day before, so for the new truck.
It's good to know. Thank you. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the fire chief titled Monthly Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, Brent, we're a little early for the Court of Revision. Do you want to give us your monthly report at this time?
My report's before you. I have nothing to add. Any questions?
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the drainage superintendent titled Monthly Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
I think you could continue with your reports, Brent, at this time.
Okay, so through you, Mayor, and to the rest of council, you've got the report for the Gordon Campbell drain to decide to receive and proceed. Any questions on that report?
Seeing none, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the engineer's report for the Gordon Campbell drain and instructs the clerk to notify everyone required to be notified under Section 41 of the Drainage Act, and that council will hold a meeting to consider the report at their regular council meeting, April 12th, 2023, at approximately 6 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
And the Donald Lumley drain, a request for drain major improvement. Go ahead, Brent.
Through you and to the rest of council, this is a request to improve another section of the drain beyond what the original requester asked for. And I foresee that we'll see one more coming to extend this request across Talbot line to the north side. So.
Questions from council? I see none. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives and decides to proceed with the Donald Lumley drain improvement request under Section 78 of the Drainage Act received from Randy and Michelle Small, and instructs the clerk to notify Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority as required under Section 78(2) of the Drainage Act for drainage improvements, and that the requesting landowner be notified of council's decision to proceed, and that an engineer be appointed under the appropriate section of the Drainage Act after the 30-day time period from the notice of council's decision was sent to the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority and OMAFRA has passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. We're on a roll here, Brent. You just keep going on the Gilroy drain petition for drainage works.
Okay, through you, Mayor, and to the rest of the council, this, there's actually 2 petitions here by one landowner.
The one petition is to potentially cross the rail right-of-ways to get to the land he owns on the north side of the two rail right-of-ways, north of Thompson Line. And the other is to extend a branch on the north side of Thompson Line from the Gilroy drain to intercept an old private tile that crosses Thompson Line into the McKillop property on the other side of the drain. So both the same landowner or same owners, just two different parcels. All again, as a result of a meeting to review the proposal of an engineer that we held back in February.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councilor Goulart.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Brent, do you see any issues coming forward with the crossing of the rail that we've encountered in the past?
Through the mayor to Councillor Goulart. I'm getting used to this formality. I think working with CSX on the Lodge and Graham drain and what we've learned here with our engineers and myself and what CSX has learned, I think the process will be streamlined significantly because I think everybody knows what's going on from both ends, what they need from us, their engineering department, and how they're going to handle it in their own organization in Florida. So on a side note, we're also looking at some situations where right now, where we might not have to go across those rail right-of-ways to provide Mr. Goodhue with an outlet on the north side. We just have to go dig up another municipal drain and that crosses the road a little bit out to the west of there, and maybe we don't have to cross, so.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. No other questions of council? Clerk Tara.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drewlard, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives and decides to proceed with the section 41C petition under the Drainage Act submitted by Goodhue Farms Port Stanley Limited, and that the petitioners be notified of council's decision to proceed, and that an engineer be appointed under the appropriate section of the Drainage Act after the 30-day time period from the notice of council's decision to proceed was sent to the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority and OMAFRA has passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, and one more, I think we can squeeze it in. Appoint the engineer, the Dunwich Dutton School Drain. Go ahead, Brent.
Sorry, through you, Mayor, and to the rest of council. This is just to appoint the engineer for the request of the Lower Thames Valley School Board to improve the drain over to Charles Street across their property. Once, with the investigations that the engineer had done previously on this drain, we will see stamped copies of this report in the next day or so in the office, and hopefully this will be considered at the same meeting as we do the Gordon Campbell drain in April.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Seeing none, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drewlard, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich appoints Spreed Associates Limited to prepare the necessary reports for the Section 78 petition for the Dunwich Dutton School Drain filed by Thames Valley District School Board, and that notice of council's decision to appoint the engineer be sent to the requester, Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, OMAFRA, and Spreed Associates Limited. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, I think we're so close to 5:15. We'll just wait a minute or 30 seconds, whatever it takes, and we'll get into the Court of Revision. As noted earlier, I declared a conflict on this one, and because I'm stepping aside, leaves us with 4. We will have 3 in the Court of Revision, and we will elect a chair and the participants in the Court of Revision. It is 5:15, so do we need a motion to,
Yes. So do we have one counselor that would like to sit aside for this meeting? Rock, paper, scissors.
okay,
Okay.
and I can appoint the chairperson?
So you can do this resolution.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll have moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Drulard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich appoints Deputy Mayor Loveland, Councillor Pemberton, Councillor Dreyfus as members of the Court of Revision, and that Deputy Mayor Loveland be appointed Chair of the Court of Revision, and that the regular meeting end to sit as a Court of Revision for the Pierce Drain at 5:16 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
okay. I will be stepping aside.
Sarah, do we need a motion to open the Court of Revision, or we've already done that?
Yep, one more, Ken.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
So moved by Dreyfus and seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the Court of Revision to hold a public meeting for the Pierce Drain opens at 5:16 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
I guess next thing on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes of the previous resolution, so go ahead.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the minutes of the Court of Revision for the February 8th, 2023 meeting for the Dude Ranch Drain and Bennett Drain upper portion be approved. All in favor? And that's carried.
This is the Court of Revision as required by the Drainage Act to afford any person assessed in the Pierce Drain previously adopted bylaw 2003-10 on February the 8th, 2003, to make an appeal with respect to their assessments on the grounds of land or road that has been assessed too high or too low. Lands or roads should have been assessed but were not. Due consideration has not been given to the land's use. I would ask that any landowner and interested properties present that are assessed in the drain, please sign in the attendance sheet that is being circulated. Was everyone notified in an appropriate way that are required to be notified under the Drainage Act?
Yes, on Thursday, February 9th, 2023, all parties required to be notified under Section 46 of the Drainage Act were sent by regular mail or emailed a copy of the provisional bylaw with a notice of the sitting of this Court of Revision. This notice also informed all landowners of the Drainage Act requirements to notify the clerk in writing of an appeal to the Court of Revision 10 days before the first sitting of the Court of Revision.
Did you receive any appeals in writing 10 days prior to the sitting of the Court of Revision from any assessed landowners?
No.
This really ends the Court of Revision. So I guess what I would request now is ask for a resolution to adopt the assessment schedule contained in the report. Pierce Drain read the resolution out loud and to vote on it. So
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, that the Court of Revision accepts the assessment for the Pierce Drain. All in favor? And that's carried.
and I guess I need a resolution now to adjourn the meeting.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the meeting of the Court of Revision for the Pierce Drain closes at 5:19 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Mike can have his job back now.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Loveland, for taking care of that. Clerk Tara, get us back into the regular meeting, please.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Pemberton, that the regular council meeting reconvenes at 5:20 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thanks, Brent. I think you're done. Okay, we're in our planning department, and 11A is the Committee of Adjustment, 173 Leach Street. Are we a little early, Clerk Tara? I think we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, let's go to some reports. We'll skip down to number 12, Recreation. The monthly activity report. Everybody received that in your agenda package. Any questions from council? Seeing none, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Recreation and Administrative Assistant titled Monthly Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Let's move down to 13, correspondence. 13A, the Town of Cobourg, homeless and unsheltered persons. Any comments from council on that correspondence? I see none. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution of the Town of Cobourg requesting immediate action from the Province of Ontario to develop, resource, and implement a comprehensive plan to prevent, reduce, and ultimately end homelessness in Ontario, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the Town of Cobourg. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. The County of Huron, a call to action, a review of the Cannabis Act. Any questions or comments from council on that? This is an issue that hits quite close to home. We have issues in Elgin County that are quite concerning. That's the only comment I'll make on that. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drulard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the County of Huron call to action for further notice and enhanced consultation with municipal governments when drafting and implementing legislation and regulations related to cannabis production, as there is a direct impact on local municipal operations, local residents, and in some cases, serious issues of noncompliance with local municipal bylaws. And that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the County of Huron. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. The Municipality of Trent Lakes, the oath of office. Everybody had a chance to review that. Any questions? I see none. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution of the Municipality of Trent Lakes requesting the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing make the following change to the municipal oath of office. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and that I will faithfully observe the laws of Canada, including the Constitution, which recognizes and affirms the Aboriginal and treaty rights of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the Municipality of Trent Lakes. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. 13D, the Town of Grimsby changes to the Municipal Heritage Register, which affects us. Any questions from council? Councilor Dreyfus.
I think this has to be noted because we have 80 properties on the designation list, and the way the Bill 23 is written, we'll have to start again, and then we can't put them back on the list for 5 years. Doesn't mean they're all going to be designated, but It is a big problem across the province, and I think it needs to be noted and supported. So,
I agree. In a further comment, there was an awful lot of work went into compiling that list. Basically, that's what it is. And to just discount that is not right, in my opinion. So go ahead, Councillor Drulard.
Just one question. If we're not successful here, will you have to start from square one with the research, or will you be able to use that data that you've previously compiled?
Is Tracy with us? She could probably answer that question better than anyone. Tracy, are you listening?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the research that has been compiled will be kept, and it'll actually create a third level. So we'll have what's designated, what's registered, and then we'll keep our own listed, and then we'll bring them onto the register after the 5 years for them to be considered for designation. So what will happen is instead of having a large 80 property register, you'll just bring one in at a time, register it, and then go straight to designation.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution of the Town of Grimsby encouraging the Province of Ontario to make changes to the Ontario Heritage Act, which promotes the retention and expansion of the Municipal Heritage Register, including the listing of properties of cultural heritage value or interests that are not currently designated, and further that it is encouraged to protect the 60-day demolition provision indefinitely rather than for a maximum of 2 years in order to provide adequate time for the municipality to consider the heritage value of properties before they may be demolished, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the Town of Grimsby. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Let's go to 13E, the Town of Grimsby. There's a resolution, barriers for women in politics. Any comments or concerns or questions? Councillor Drulard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just feel that this is really timely considering it's International Women's Day, and we are underrepresented on municipally and in provincial and federal politics on all levels. So I think this is really timely on this day.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Clerk Tara.
Whereas the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich has approved policy WE 26-2022, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Policy, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution of the Town of Grimsby and commits to continue taking steps to ensure that our political environment is inclusive and welcoming to all individuals, regardless of gender, race, religion, sexual orientation, or other identity factors, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Town of Grimsby. All in favor? And that's carried.
I'm keeping my eye on you there, Ken. Make sure you're voting.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's finish correspondence. F, the Niagara Region motion regarding declarations of emergency for homelessness, mental health, and opioid addiction. Any questions or comments from council? There's a lot we can talk about here, but
There certainly is, and it comes through you, Mr. Mayor. This comes from the Niagara region, and I actually listened to quite a long podcast from the mayor, and I also watched him on CBC and how they're housing and what they're doing in that area to try to mitigate the problem. So I would certainly support this.
okay, Clerk Tara, resolution, please.
So I have a resolution moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Drulard, that correspondence item 13F from Niagara Region be received and filed. All in favor? Yeah,
Um,
okay.
It's carried.
Okay,
Okay.
it's carried.
Thank you. Let's finish correspondence. 13G, Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry Amendment to Regulation 161 /17 under the Public Lands Act. Everybody get a chance to review that? Any questions or concerns? Go ahead, Clerk Tara. I think you have two resolutions.
Moved by Drewlard, seconded by Loveland, that correspondence item 13G from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry be received and filed. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that relevant correspondence was reviewed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you. It is now 5:30, so we're going to backtrack to our planning department and start with 11A, the Committee of Adjustment, 173 Leach Street. Our planner, Tracy, floor is yours.
Wait.
We'll give it back to our clerk, Tara,
Yep.
to move us into committee of adjustment.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the regular meeting end to sit as a committee of adjustment meeting to hear application MV 123 filed by Nicole and Jonathan McDowell at 5:31 PM. All in favor? And that's carried. And then one more, we've got moved by Drewlard, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for minor variance application file MV 123 filed by Nicole and Jonathan McDowell opens at 5:32 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you, Tara. Yeah, she sits beside me to keep me in line, Tracy, so now you're up.
Actually, I will send it back to you. You are the chair, and there is a script to read first.
Okay. I need to. I will call this Committee of Adjustment hearing to order. This application for a minor variance pursuant to Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended, is required for the following reasons. To request relief from the zoning bylaw to A, decrease the side yard setback from 0.3 meters to 0 meters for the accessory structure eaves, Section 4.2D, and B, decrease the side yard setback from 1 meter to 0.24 meters for the accessory structure, Section 4.2E. Does any member of council have a disclosure of interest concerning the proposals? Seeing none. To the clerk, what method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for this meeting?
A sign was posted on the subject property prior to the February 24th, 2023 deadline, and notices were mailed to property owners within 60 meters of the subject property prior to the February 22nd, 2023 deadline.
Thank you. I will now introduce our planner, Tracy, to present the report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and to the members of the Committee of Adjustment. I'm going to just highlight some of the key points on this application. The minor variance application is part of a severance application, actually. If you recall, the property is being split into two, and the existing single detached dwelling, or the main building with a detached garage, is existing on the property. The dwelling is proposed to be moved as a condition of that land division committee file onto the severed lot, and that would create a vacant parcel for the creation of a new lot. So the minor variance applies to just the part that is shown on part 1 of the attached sketch to the report. The application was circulated to the public, agencies, and comments. Those were all summarized in my report. So a detailed review of what was proposed. We have confirmed that the minimum front yard depth is no longer required as part of the original ask in the application. The steps that were encroaching the 2.5 meter beyond the required front yard is permitted. So the only thing that's left is the minimum side yard of the detached structure or the accessory building. Both the wall of the building and the eaves of the building. So the wall will be reduced to 0.24 meters and the eaves will be at 0 meters. So those were specifically updated in the decision. As a committee of adjustment, the way you analyze applications is that you put it through 4 tests of a minor variance. Administration has reviewed those tests, and we feel that it doesn't change the characteristic of the area. That remains the same. There's no impact on the surrounding areas. It doesn't impact privacy or encroachments that would cause any problems. So administration recommends that the minor variance application be approved. So happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time.
Is the owner present? And do you have anything you would like to add at this time?
Yes, I am present. I don't
Okay.
to add at this time.
Yeah, is that Nicole?
Yes, it
Thank you.
is. I'm also happy to answer any questions as well.
Any questions from council? Councillor Pemberton.
Thank you through your mayor. Tracy, the chief building official made comment on here about the eaves. And I'm just curious, how is that being addressed? And if it has been considered and it is being addressed, is there a condition that it has to be addressed before this is completed?
For you, Mr. Chair, to that question, it was because of the CBO's comments that the eaves were added to the decision. And I'll actually have the applicant, Nicole McDowell, explain how they're going to deal with lot grading and any water coming off of that side.
Thank you, Tracy. So the eaves will actually overhang the property line. Our proposal to mitigate water shed onto the neighboring property would be to install new eaves and troughs on that side and redirect the water back onto our property, similar to requirements in other municipalities where 0 lot lines are permitted. This is,
Pemberton, follow up?
sorry, I'll add, this is actually the first time I've seen the building comments. So I hadn't seen those before. But we'd be happy to comply with those as well.
Yeah, I guess my follow-up to that through you, Mayor, Nicole, you just said that they actually are going to overhang, but I think the recommendation is to cut them back so that they don't overhang. And then redirect the water as you've described. So is that something that's feasible then to be able to do that? Is there enough overhang to cut back?
There is, I'm reading the comment that they are actually recommending that the overhang be cut back to the wall. So we could do that. My only concern with that is venting of the attic space in the future. It is currently in an uninsulated garage, but in the future, should it be insulated, I would just be concerned about the venting. Obviously, there's other ways that we can accommodate that as well. But in other municipalities where 0 lot lines are permitted, the eaves are allowed to overhang just as long as water is directed back onto the property. But again, we could cut the overhangs if that's necessary in order to keep the garage.
Councillor Pemberton, any follow up?
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen one where you're allowed to overhang property line onto another property. I'm okay with the reduced requirement, but yeah, I'd like to see at least the eaves not necessarily cut back to the building, but cut back far enough that they're not overhanging property line.
Okay.
Tracy, I'd welcome a comment from you on that.
Yes, just to add, the CBO did explain that the overhang would need to be cut back to flush with the outside wall to allow for the gutters to be added so that no part of the building encroaches on the property line. So that is what the CBO can support.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Pemberton.
Yes, thank you, through you, Mayor. So Tracy, is that CBO comment then a condition of the severance so that it would have to be inspected as part of the severance then? Or can it be added to that?
So we can't add a condition to the severance because that was already dealt with at the Land Division Committee and no appeals were filed. And you can't put any conditions on the minor variance. So it will be more of a natural requirement prior to the municipality providing clearance letter to the Land Division. We've got to make sure that the CBO is satisfied with respect to the setbacks. So we can certainly work with the applicant with what the CBO would be comfortable with, but the intent is that the overhang had to be amended to be flush with the outside wall. And there's that 0.24 meters, 0.24 meters that we have as space for those gutters. So we don't have to describe it specifically. It will be automatic as part of our clearance letter.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from council or the committee members? Seeing none, does the secretary treasurer have any comments from staff?
Yes, and they're summarized in the planner's report.
Does the secretary treasurer have any written submissions on this application?
Yes, and they're summarized in the planner's report.
Are there any persons present who were notified of this meeting and would like to comment on the application? I'm seeing none. I guess it's a consideration of the decision of the committee. Clerk Tara?
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Committee of Adjustment for the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the planner titled Application for Minor Variance MV 123, 173 Leach Street, Municipality of Dutton Dunwich, Nicole and Jonathan McDowell, dated March 8th, 2023 for information, and that the Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance application MV 123 for property located at 173 Leach Street in accordance with the site-specific decision sheet attached to the minutes of this meeting. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Please be advised that the last day for appealing this decision is March 28, 2023. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the committee in respect to this application, you must submit a written request to the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich Committee of Adjustment. If you are not the applicant, you should request a copy of the decision since it may be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal by the applicant or another member of the public. This Committee of Adjustment meeting is now concluded. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to hear minor variance application MV 123 filed by Nicole and Jonathan McDowell closes at 5:44 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
And moved by Pemberton, seconded by Droulard, that the regular meeting reconvenes at 5:44 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay. 11B under planning is an application for zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 11/22 at 270 Mary Street in the municipality of Dutton Dunwich. JEG Home Solutions, care of Alan Patton. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drewlard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the public meeting to consider zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 1122 filed by Jeg Homes Solutions care of Alan Patton, 270 Mary Street, Municipality of Dutton Dunwich, opens at 5:45 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. I'll just turn it over to our planner, Tracy.
Yes, thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. There's no script on this one. This isn't a public meeting under the Planning Act. This is a report that has been brought back since the statutory public meeting that was held on December 14th of 2022. It was the direction of council at that time to defer the decision to change the zoning, to give the applicant an opportunity to review the comments that had been received and to consider any revisions to their proposed concept plan. So we may have people online or in person at this council meeting, and it would definitely be up to council if you would like to choose to allow them to speak. But again, it's not a statutory public meeting. So what you have had is an opportunity to hear from them previously, but certainly you can hear their feedback based on the revised concept plan. So I will highlight some of the key points. The resubmission has now been received, and a revised support study with the functional servicing and stormwater management report was included with a revised cover letter and the revised site plan. Again, the lot is an irregularly shaped lot at the corner of Mary Street and Charles Street. The property owner previously proposed a 5-unit townhouse. That is still the case. The major changes to the development is that the building has been shifted to the south and the size has been changed to allow for greater setback along Charles Street. So there are still 5 items that are being asked to be changed as part of the zoning bylaw amendment application. And again, it's a land use change, so we're changing it from VR1 to a VR2 to allow for a townhouse. And then the -5 is a site-specific relief. The maximum lot coverage is from 50.10. From 40 to 50.10. The minimum front yard depth is 7.5, reduced to 3.88. The exterior side yard is 4.5 and changed to 4.17. The minimum rear yard being changed from 7.5 to 3.94. And then the applicant still requested that the parking be exempt from 1.2 spaces per unit to 1 space per unit. So the revised proposal was circulated to just internal departments, the town engineer, and Lower Thames Conservation Authority. Comments had been received. Overall, there were no comments or objections. The only one that should be noted is under our town engineer. It was recommended pushing the swale out to the asphalt is not appropriate and should remain on the grassed area. That we can deal with through building permit. Again, this is not subject to site plan control because it's less than 10 units under the new changes under the Planning Act. And then there were some water department comments about where the 5 separate bore holes should be included. So in the report, I've highlighted in red the items that need relief. Administration's in a position that the relief has been improved since the original submission, and that we have no concerns with what the relief is asking. Again, we're dealing with an awkward shaped lot, and the zoning bylaw that we have in place doesn't fit very well with the requirements because of its shape. So council kind of has to customize this particular development to make it work. Overall, the provincial policy statements and the OP support infilling and intensification. It's up to council to decide whether this is an appropriate and compatible proposed application. So happy to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
I'm sure there are some questions of council. Deputy Mayor Loveland, go ahead.
Um, First of all, I think to Tracy through you, Mayor, the corner site provisions of our zoning bylaw don't meet this new application. Is that correct?
That is correct. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the zoning bylaw does require 9 meters, and we are being shown that only 7.5 meters is being proposed, and that's from the corner of the lot line where it intersects with the roadway. The applicant has not asked for relief, so that will have to be complied with, the 9 meters, as part of the building permit application, or they're going to have to come back for another zoning or a minor variance application. So again, the product that you see before you was just a concept plan. We're just dealing with the land use and its regulations. It will be up to the developer to fit within that box.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Loveland.
I guess my concern is I really think that this proposed development is too large for this lot. I'm really concerned about the precedents we set by reducing the front yard and rear yard that much. And I think we have to note that when he brought this back, he's actually increased the size of each unit. I know it's gone from 78.5 up to 122, but I think he's got the garage included in one and not in the other, so it's a bit difficult to compare. I'm having a real problem that I don't think I could support this application the way it is. I guess I recommend one of two things. I don't think we need to send it back to him again. He's already had a chance and he hasn't really done anything that improved except the parking, made some other things worse. So I can't see sending it back, and I can't see approving it like it is. I really think we have two choices before us. One is to turn it down, and the other one is to approve the bylaw with the setbacks we want, and then it's his responsibility to meet those. And that would be my recommendation, I think.
Any other question? Or Tracy, would you care to comment on that?
No comments. Certainly council makes these decisions, and that is an appropriate approach, would be is to, you can just change it from the VR1 to VR2 and not even change any of the other regulations, make the applicant work within those parameters.
Councillor Dreyfus.
Yes, I'd like to, I think I would like to emphasize the fact that, and I guess there's probably on council, I'm probably the most favorable in when it comes to economic development, but we have to still work within our guidelines. And I guess my biggest concern is precedent setting. There was another complex built in this village 4 or 5 years ago. And he, you know, and specifically he was told to stay within the guidelines of what our zoning bylaw was. And I think I'm not in favor, I'm in favor of him moving forward. And I would agree with Ken that make it work on the property, and don't come back to council with it. We can get this to work. But I think we need to look at this. I'm concerned that the setback, the front yard setback, is 50% of our allowable position for our bylaw, and that concerns me when it's that much. So I think we need to revisit this. I support it 100%, but I really feel we need to look at the size of the structure. I kind of thought when we sent it back to be looked at that we would see a slightly different footprint, and I don't see that here. So I'm with Ken. I can't support it at this time, but I would still like to see it move forward. So.
Any other questions? Councillor Pemberton.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. I know there's a lot of public concern about this too, and I think I'm agreeing with Deputy Mayor Loveland and Councillor Dreyfus that I think there are some exceptions we could make that, for the parking requirements and stuff like that, but the front and rear yard setbacks are fairly extreme. I don't know that realistically they meet the intent of being minor. So I'd like to at least see those put back to what our actual requirements are. And I think if we do that, it's going to help alleviate some of the lot coverage issues as well. Probably alleviate the site visibility triangle that's not being complied with already. So again, I'm in support of the building itself, but I agree. I think we need to come into more of compliance with our actual bylaw.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Drulard.
I don't want to repeat what has already been said, so I am supporting what Councillor Dreyfus and the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Pemberton are saying. I really would like to see it go forward, but I'd like to see it inside of, or at least something closer to what our bylaws are.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from Deputy Mayor Loveland? Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess the other comment is I think he meets the parking requirements now because he's left 6 meters, a laneway 6 meters deep and 10 feet wide. So I think he's actually, and with one parking inside the garage, he meets the 1.25, maybe even passes that a bit, which is nice to see. And I can live with the side yard reduction, exterior side yard reduction that he's asked for. But other than that, I don't think and I guess maybe even lot coverage, I could see it going a little bit above the 40%. But other than that, I think we stay with where we're at.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'll just add mine at this time. I'm in favor of this type of development. The community wants it. It's in demand. My understanding is it's fully rented with a waiting list. He has answered 2 questions I had, so there is progress here, and one was parking, and he's addressed the stormwater management of that site as well. So I don't think it's too much of a reach to get him to try and comply a little closer with our current bylaws. So I'm in favor of changing the zoning to allow for a unit such as this on that property, but I think he has to get closer to our current guidelines. Tracy, where do we go from here with that type of council decision?
Yeah, so council could just deal with the land use change, the VR1 to VR2 to allow for the townhouse, and then have the developer come back for a minor variance for any of the other reliefs, and then you can deal with it on that kind of case by case basis. Or if you want to give me some side yard reductions in lot coverages now, I can put that right into the bylaw.
Okay, thank you. I know there's great interest in this project, and with council's indulgence, I'll allow some response from the people sitting here. Anybody want to speak to this issue? I will allow it. Go ahead and identify yourself, please. Okay. Yeah, right at the table. You're on the hot seat.
I'm Alan Patton. I'm the owner of Jag Home Solutions, who has put the application in. I appreciate the input, of course, and thank you for your comments. And we also appreciate the neighbors' comments and questions and concerns for sure. We're not trying to do anything that's going to cause stress in the town. I own the business in the town and other properties in town, so it's whatever. We want it to go smoothly and everybody to be on board. The of course, with the building changing directions onto, it'll be people going into it onto Charles Street rather than the front yard now off of Mary Street. So the side yard, the front yard is now going to become the side yard because of the orientation. So I would assume that perhaps we could go a little bit wider on the front yard. And Deputy Mayor Loveland's comments were before to go from 5, perhaps go down to 4. And so we had a meeting shortly after the council meeting last time. And he was concerned about the 5 and the cost of building going from 4 to 5, the cost would be increased in different, which of course is understandable. And I know there would be more cost involved in that. That's fine with us. But if we can't make, our plan has always been to have one level living. I've done the kitchens in the, what are they called? Caledonia, thank you. But I own the store over here, the flooring store, and I'm a cabinet maker, and I've been doing the kitchens there for the past few years. So when somebody moves out, they're redoing them. And so I've been communicating, or I had some communication with some of the people that are moving in, and they were finding them small, and they don't like to have to move to a old folks home sort of a thing, getting rid of stairs. So my plan is the demographic I would like to see is people coming in, they're retiring, they sell their house, get rid of stairs, one level living, accessible, not fully accessible, but a little bit wider, a little bit bigger. Garages are important, and laundry on the main floor, en suites, that kind of a thing. So that's the demographic I'm trying to deal with and to help. And my mother-in-law is going through the same thing in Saskatchewan right now. We've got a house for her that she's moving to a house, same idea. And it's exciting for her. And so, yeah, we have about 10 people that are already trying to get the 5 or now maybe 4. And so that's why I was trying to keep it at the 5 because it's such a high demand. And so I'm not trying to cause stress. I'm trying to, people want to stay in the area and they don't want to move to an old folks home. And so that's what I'm trying to accomplish. That's why we've tried to push the boundaries a little bit. And I know that's what we're doing. And that's why I didn't make a ton of changes as far as the sizes. I mean, the setback, yes, we had, as far as I'm concerned, we actually have 2 full spaces now because we have one in the garage and one outside the garage. So that's a lot more than 1.25. So that's what we're trying to accomplish is to have that situation for older folks. And actually, we're in the process right now of purchasing the property directly beside on Charles Street. Actually, it's, what is it? Shackleton, thank you. So I'm in the process of purchasing that property. So I'll probably be back doing the same thing, except an addition in that case, in hopefully the near future. So that's the purpose of the development. And so that's why I'm trying to push the boundaries a little bit because of that. So go from, we have, I think, 10 people on a list for 5, now potentially 4, because I can't squish it so small, and now it becomes, now that I don't have enough square feet to allow for the person to live there, right? You have to have so many square feet per unit and all that kind of stuff. So if I keep it at 5 and inside those parameters, the units are too small by the laws of the township. So I'd have to go down to 4 units. So that's the purpose of the proposal. And so that becomes up to council, of course, to decide, okay, are we going to allow that for that purpose or just have to go down to 4? And if I go down to 4, then my square footage and everything is no problem. It's easy to stay inside the parameters, but it's one less. But be that as it may, that's your decision. So I really appreciate that you would say 2 options, no, or stay within our parameters, or perhaps we can expand them a little bit. but potentially not have to be 5. I would like to do 5, but if you say, no, we're not going to do that, then come back with whatever falls inside some sort of less bulging guidelines would be helpful. Then I'll do whatever I need to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And just a question, your second proposal increased the square footage of each unit by quite a bit. Was that a math error, or did you include the garage in one and not the other? I had trouble following that.
Yeah, I believe the engineering, that was their thing. So they probably included the garage, because I do know that we actually have less square footage per unit because we had to move the garage back. So I actually, in the proposal, I want to have en suites, and I had to lose the ensuite in the master bedroom. So I think I have a little bit less square footage living space. So because I lost an ensuite, and I got to have an ensuite for the unit, so I'm gonna have to lose a bedroom. So there's different ways to do things. So I think they had just included the garages. There's a mathematical error in that situation.
Thank you. Does any of council have questions of Alan while he's here? Deputy Mayor Loveland, go ahead.
Thanks, Alan, and I appreciate where you're going with this. And if you're going to buy the other property, that certainly would make a bit of a difference. My question is, if you needed to get a bit more square footage, and we don't have the floor plan in front of us, so I don't know, but I think you could. I know you jog out on what we would call the exterior lot side. You jog out a little bit behind your garages. Could you, if you needed a bit more square footage, could you jog that out a little bit more? Because really you're over the exterior, to me, the interior lot setbacks that you need there. Did that make sense to you, what I just said?
No, I think we're already, for the back, we're already asking for at the back of the units, we're already asking to make them larger there, right? My setback is already is not far enough already, so I don't know, I can't really jog back further because now I'm even going further than what's already allowed. I think maybe I'm not understanding what you're asking.
Maybe ask Tracy to comment on that. Maybe I'm not explaining it well.
Yeah, I think we're getting, and I find it confusing, the side yard you'd think was the front and the backyard is the side yard. So it's a little confusing to me because the front of that property looks like it should be on Charles Street, but that's not in fact what's happening here. So there's a little confusion there on setbacks, side versus back and front and all of that. Tracy, you have any comments?
Yes, so I believe, for clarity, the minimum interior side yard is only 1.5 meters, and you've provided us with 3.4. So that's where Councillor or Deputy Mayor Loveland's saying that you do have a little bit of room on your interior side yard. It's your exterior side yard. You're so close. We require 4.5 meters on the exterior, and you're 4.17. So you're almost there. What your rear yard is 7.5, which really acts as an interior. That makes sense to reduce that setback. And then your front yard, which is the Mary Street, that you should try to push the building back so that it's better aligned with some of the other buildings, and it will give you that site visibility triangle that we were looking at. Now, lot coverage is a little trickier because right now, we read it as it's the lot coverage of the of individual units. You're allowed 50% off interior units and 40% off exterior units. So it's something that we'll have to customize for that. But if we can get the lot coverage down closer to the 40, which is similar to your exterior units, then that might be a little bit more palatable with council. So I know it's hard to put on a spot right now to see what council would support and what you would agree. That's where the suggestion would be is if we just get through the land use change, and then you can come back for a minor variance, and then that might give us a little bit more time to work with council and your site plan to develop a product that would work closer to the zoning restrictions.
Okay, I'm seeing a thumbs up here. Anything else from council? I would support the zoning bylaw amendment to allow for this type of building. We just have a few issues with the current plans. Anything else from council? Any other comments? Go ahead, I'm going to allow it.
Randy McLeod, a neighbor of the community there. And I feel that you guys have gone back and presented it back to them before. None of the conditions were really met, only maybe the parking. And the conditions have exceeded what they even were before requests. And changing side to front yard and all that, like, to me, you can't start changing because I feel this is what this is. Well, then if you feel the front, Charles is the front, then make that the front, right? Like changing it to make whatever fits what you want, right? And the 50%, there's water issues there. You're going to have way more runoff. If you look in the new drainage report, the underground storage is actually 1 cubic meter smaller than it was when we were asking for 45% coverage. So now we've made the underground storage smaller and asking for more lot coverage. And again, I think we're all in favor as neighbors. Just abide by the bylaws that are in place. If it takes a fourplex to go there, start digging tomorrow and get it built. We got people waiting for it, get it going. But abide by the bylaws that are in place now, because if you change the bylaws for this, talking about buying another lot, are you going to go through this the same time? Once you pass it now, can't say no again. The next person that wants to buy another property, they're going to ask for the same thing. You got the bylaws there, stick to them. A minor little bit, like you say, the car and all that, yeah, you can live with. But the other bylaws, I think as council, you should stick to your bylaws. You have other lots available in town to build other duplexes, triplexes. I guess that's as a neighbor's concern.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Everything's being considered. Anything further?
Turn it off. I prepared something too, and I thought I might as well
Okay,
speak it. So I just want to start by using an excerpt from the minutes from Wednesday, December 14th, council meetings. Councillor Loveland, which I'll correct to Deputy Mayor Loveland, but that's what it said, expressed his support for intensification, but indicated that a 3-unit row house would be more suitable. Let me reiterate that as previously stated in our formal submission, we, the neighbors, too support intensification and are not opposed to the request at all of rezoning for a multi-row house at 270 Mary Street. We do, however, stand firm on our position that this proposal is requiring too many major variances. And like Corey had mentioned, these aren't minor variances, these are major variants when you're talking 50%. Breaching multiple lot lines in order to cram in 5-unit row house, and the application should not be approved. A reduction in the number of proposed units, as Deputy Mayor Loveland stated, would be well suited for the site and eliminate the need for these extensive bylaw infringements. We would welcome such. Also from the minutes on the Wednesday, December 14th council meeting, the applicant, Alan Patton, explained that they are willing to work with the proposal to address concerns of council and neighbors. The concerns that were addressed at the December 14th meeting by the planner, the council, and the neighbors by way of our formal letter were seemingly ignored. In some cases, this second submission further encroaches upon the initial relief requests, looking for greater variances to be considered, where my understanding was that the direction from council at the initial meeting was to defer the application to allow the applicant to rework the proposal to more closely adhere to the current bylaws, not submit another bunch of changes. We, the neighbors, don't feel that he has done what he said he would do. And speaking with what Randy said about changing that side yard to a backyard, I propose if you want to change that and call that a side yard, then that front yard now needs 7.5 feet back. So that's not going to work for anybody to build this. So we don't want to try to move the frontages around. The frontages, the way they are, will work the best for Mr. Patton. By changing them, you're going to make a really narrow row house because there's going to be 7.5 feet at the front and 7.5 feet at the back, and it won't work. So we need to leave the frontage on Mary for it to work for all of us.
Okay. Thank you for the comments. You got it. Okay. I think we've exhausted this for now. Briefly. Sorry,
Denise Welch.
your name, please.
Denise Welch.
Okay.
We have existing water problems on that street, and I have documentation. If you just want to take one and pass it along. And it's quite severe. So our concern is with the building taking up so much green space, it's going to exacerbate the issue. There's times when there's residents that can't even walk on their sidewalk. So I'm hoping that might be something that would be addressed with this. That's it.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
comments. As stated, this is a zoning bylaw amendment to allow for this type of building. The particulars of it have not been finalized yet. And I think the town and certainly this council would like to see this type of development. We need more of them. I hear from seniors all the time. They're desired. And like I said, we need more of that type of housing. So we'll carry on with this. Tara, I think we have a resolution that you can put before council at this time.
So I have two. The first one is to receive the report. Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report from the planner titled Application for Zoning Bylaw Amendment ZBA 1122 270 Mary Street, Municipality of Dutton Dunwich, Jag Home Solutions, care of Alan Patton, dated March 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Next one.
And then moved by Loveland, seconded by Drulard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich approves zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 1122 for property located at 270 Mary Street from Village Residential 1 to a site-specific Village Residential VR2-5 to permit a 5-unit row house with the requested relief in accordance with the site-specific bylaw 2023-19. And that council confirmed that no further public meeting is required on this matter. All in favor?
I have some concerns about that motion you just passed. You just approved everything.
Do you want to amend the motion, Deputy Mayor Loveland?
I think we've got out of procedure there. I think we should add some questions before the vote.
Go ahead. Any questions for council?
I would support passing the bylaw that changes it to the multi-res use, but I will not support it if we're going to put in the bylaw the way it's drafted has a reduction in front yards, rear yards. It also has the lot coverage of 50% and doesn't address the the site triangler. So I think we need to spend some time thinking about that bylaw and what we're really passing here.
Tracy, we're just passing the zoning at this time. Is that not correct?
So what you will need is a resolution that just says that you are changing the zoning from VR1 to VR2. No mention of it being site specific. You take off the -5 and all of that relief comes off. And then the applicant would be required to come back for another zoning bylaw amendment or minor variance for any additional relief that he needs in order to make his product work. And then committee of adjustment or council can deal with it on a site-by-site basis.
So we should amend the resolution then.
Yes, if that's what Deputy Mayor Loveland would like to do, or if you are proposing any amendments to the relief, you could do that now as well.
I don't know as we want to get into the relief at this time. We're just changing the zoning to allow this type of structure, and then they have to come back with meeting our bylaws. Is that not a true statement?
Yes, that is one approach that council can take. Just change the land use to allow for a townhouse, and then don't mention any relief.
Deputy Mayor Loveland.
Yes, we have to change the bylaw. That bylaw that's attached to our agenda doesn't do what we think it's going to do. I think we have to, like our planner said, we have to change it. So we're not voting on that particular bylaw. I personally have no problem with making some changes. I think we could live with the exterior side request that he's asked for. And if he's really looking at buying the second property, I maybe could even reduce the rear yard a little bit, but I can't, in my mind, do anything other than that.
Excuse me.
Councillor Dreyfus.
Could we not just permit the town, or change it to where it's VR1 to site-specific village residential, VR2-5 to permit a row house, period, in accordance with the site-specific bylaw? We would just have to drop with requested relief. Does that work, Tracy?
Yes, so if you remove the
Just
-5 as well, and remove the word site specific, so now you're just, the
Yes,
resolution would be is that you're changing it from village residential 1 to village residential 2. And then
correct,
the bylaw will be matching your resolution.
right.
So Councillor Dreyfus, would you move that we amend that bylaw?
Yes, I would move so.
Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Roulard seconds that amendment. So at this time, we're just going to vote on the amendment. The current resolution.
So I have.
Any further discussion?
So I have the amendment as that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich approves zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 1122 for property located at 270 Mary Street from Village Residential 1 to a Village Residential 2 to permit a townhouse in accordance with bylaw 2023-20, and that council confirmed that no further public meeting is required on this matter.
Call the question.
Oh, sorry. All in favor? And that's carried.
Original. Thank you. Okay, figure out where I'm at. Is there another resolution at this time then, Clerk Tara?
No, there is no further resolution. I made a mistake earlier that this is not a public meeting, so we do not need to close it.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for your interest.
We can get a big crowd like this.
Had everybody all flustered. Yeah, we had an audience.
Just wait till it's on YouTube. Thanks, Alan. Concept, yeah.
Tara, I got Charlotte to put up.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out where we're at here. The consent agenda. How be we try and get up to closed? Is that the wishes of council before we take a break?
Fine.
See everybody nodding their head. Okay.
Ken's okay, doesn't need a break.
Yeah, he's home. He don't care. He can take a break anytime. Just turn your camera off.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the consent agenda. And there's two parts to this, and Tara and I have been working on our procedures bylaw, so you're going to notice a change here this evening on that. Is there anything anyone wishes to discuss in the consent agenda, both A and B? I'm seeing none. We've included the safety meetings minutes in the consent agenda. Clerk Tara.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Drouillard.
I just noted something when I was reading the consent agenda from the, I'm just wondering, and I probably could have just asked Henry this. The county economic development and tourism, they note that, they have a, festival and events tracker, and I noted that a lot of communities are using that, and I'm not seeing any of our events on it, so I'm just wondering if we can start forwarding that to the county so that they can put it on their tracker.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I'll definitely look into that. So it's the county.
It is called the County Festival and Events Tracker. And so it's free to us and it's an opportunity for us to advertise what's going on in our community because we always have lots of great things.
Yep. Yep.
And I just noted that other communities like Pancake Breakfast, everything are on there and I'm not seeing any of ours, so.
Okay. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no worries.
Okay. We'll take the free advertising. Anything further from council on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, that the items on the consent agenda be approved. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Number 15, monthly activity report from the clerk. I'm sure there's questions of council on our clerk's report. Apparently not. Clerk Tara. Resolution, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the clerk titled Monthly Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. B, the Emergency Evacuation Center of the Dutton Cooperative Child Care Center. Any questions on that? It's quite straightforward. Tara's working with that group to help them in their emergency response. So resolution, please, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the clerk titled Emergency Evacuation Center, Dutton Cooperative Child Care Center, Inc., dated March 8th, 2023, for information, and that council approves the use of the community center as a primary and the Weds Theater as an alternate evacuation center for the Dutton Cooperative Child Care Center, Incorporated. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, CAO Treasurer's Report, monthly activity report. Any questions from council?
I just have to say, I just pointed out to Corey, it must have been a Freudian slip under my ongoing matters. I put house cleanup and organization instead of office.
I wish you could do too.
I must have been thinking about cleaning my own house.
Are we talking about your residence?
Well, it needs
That's
it.
okay, it needed it too. Resolution, please, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the CAO Treasurer titled Monthly Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
And a report, council remuneration report from 2022. Any comments from our CAO treasurer or questions from council?
No, this is just a yearly item that is mandated to be reported through the municipal act, just showing exactly the remuneration and any expenses that council's spent throughout the fiscal year.
Anything from council? Okay, Clerk Tara, resolution, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drouillard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the CAO Treasurer titled Council Remuneration Report 2022, dated March 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Financial Review Indicators. I'm going to let CAO Treasurer Tracy speak to that.
So the ministry tracks these financial indicators through the FIR that's reported. And I believe I brought a report to council last year. When you look at our taxes receivable, it says we're low, and I like to show it a different way, that we're not, because even though it says we have a certain amount outstanding in taxes, we've already paid the county and the school boards their money, which makes that ratio look different. And it also affects our cash ratio, which the ministry is quite concerned about. It's something I've been concerned about since I started. So I did have a good conversation, and they did say that, 2021, it looked a little better. So it is something we're aware of, and I told her some of the things that we're trying to do, the finance people, like be a little more cognizant of how quickly we get the grant claims in, and we're slowing down on how often we pay AP. Before I started, I think they were trying to be paid weekly. I've said, let's slow down on that. Let's let some money get in there. I've got the girls, more and more people trying to be on the monthly PAP, but I have to say that it's just years of keeping the tax rate so low to keep everybody happy that we didn't have a cushion in that tax rate. So if you had a bad year like this year and we keep the tax rate so low, we don't have any money anywhere to cover it. We rely on grants, which is great, but we don't have the cash flow to cover that. So when it comes to year end, if you've done a huge job like we did, like that culvert, which was 1.3 million, we paid for that out of a bank account that has no money in it. So this is something I'm quite aware of, and I'm working on, and it's disturbing, but it's also fixable. We're just gonna have to work away at it. So any questions?
Council, any questions? I first heard about this. Tracy thought we'd be dragged to the woodshed on this, but apparently it wasn't quite that bad. But I have a question on the county. When do you pay them? And is there any way we can work with them to spread it out?
No, it's mandated that we pay the upper level and the school boards 4 times a year, and there's a date. So the last one being December 15th. So they always come out ahead, and we are the ones that are suffering because we've already paid for the services. And like you say, when you keep your tax rate so low to cover the services, any other money you spend, and then, you know, then we say we have reserves, but we don't have a bank account with reserves. We just, it's on paper. And that kind of bothers me because we have a reserve that we say we're gonna fund a capital job out of. Well, we don't have that cash. And we're not raising it with the tax rate either. So we have to, we just have to start building and we'll get there, but it's just, it's something that council needs to be aware of and something that we probably should talk about a little more often than things look good. So.
Any further questions?
Well, we have no other source of revenue either, right? So like, not like some other municipalities where they have wind turbines, they have
Right.
whatever, like
Right.
there's all kinds of stuff, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
I think that's our disadvantage.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And
yeah.
we don't have an Amazon plant or,
No. And, you know, we have way too much farmland. Like, not way too much farm, but our most of our assessment, our assessment is mostly farmland. So we don't have any other assessment to make up for that. So, which is, I mean, like I say, I don't mean we have way too much farmland, but our assessment is mostly farmland. So it's hard to, you know, collect from a store or a factory or something like that, right? So.
Thank you, Tracy, for, I mean, we need the hard news. We need to know these things, and you get lulled, and I think a lot of people's personal budgets, when interest rates are near zero, it's not as big a concern. They're not at zero anymore, so it's a bigger problem now than it was even last year. Council's aware of that. Tracy reminds me, if not daily, then certainly weekly, of our financial situation. So ahead of us in the next 4 years, it's a challenge, and we'll work through it. Anything else from that report from our CAO treasurer? I see none. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the CAO treasurer titled MMAH Financial Review Indicators dated March 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. D, municipal grant requests. And want to handle that one?
Yeah, is there any questions? Actually,
I'm just gonna sit in the gallery.
there's one addition, that was the application was missed before we did up the spreadsheet. It is for the WECHC Children's Fitness, first Monday of every month. So it's, $280. So the waiving of the fees for that group. So is there any questions or, these are very similar to last year's, nothing new has come up. Actually, the community garden last year asked for money, but they didn't, apply this year. I think everything else, is similar to last year. Any questions?
I see none. Go ahead, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the CAO treasurer titled 2023 Municipal Grant Requests dated March 8th, 2023 for information, and that council approves the 2023 municipal grant requests as presented. All in favor?
Tara, can we, if council's agreeable, can we add the children's, can you add that, the addition of the $240 for children's fitness? Sorry.
240 or 250?
Sorry, 280, 7 times 40, so 280.
280.
Get him right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we'll just amend that second line to that council approves the 2023 municipal grant requests with the inclusion of the West Elgin Community Health Center for $280. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you. And E, the user fee bylaw update. There's quite a list there. Everybody had a chance to review that. And any questions or concerns? Tracy, you want to speak to it or?
Did everybody look at the water and sewer? Because those are the ones that we were kind of changing on the fly, when we did the budget. For the water and sewer, I just wanted to make sure council was okay with those ones.
It looks like you changed the water to 7%
Yes,
increase.
yeah.
So that would be the same.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and we left sewer at, yes.
Sorry about that, Ken. I didn't turn on my mic.
Nope.
And I increased the per lot resident for the waste
Water connection.
water connection too for,
7%.
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that
I think
was it.
that's-
I think that was
that's a-
Deputy Mayor Loveland's suggestion, yeah. I did go through and bring the roads, for external, up to the standards, so they look quite high.
The road services you're
Yeah,
talking?
yeah.
Yeah.
And those will be, it could be council's suggestion that we just going forward after this year, we just pass the bylaw that they would be the OASS standards and we don't have to start spelling them out. That's something we can bring forward next year. So. We did also change the dog tag so that you can have up to 3 dogs for $40. We got rid of the other fees. Any other questions?
Anything from council? I think it looks reasonable.
I think it's reasonable and I think we pushed the bar this year. I personally think we're there. Yeah.
I know that we increased a lot of the facilities last year, so we didn't even touch them. So we need to get a better handle on what it's costing us, like to heat and all that stuff and get a better costing, but.
Tracy, our increases last year, they weren't extreme, were they? I didn't, no,
No.
they were just,
No, they
they
weren't,
were,
yeah.
they were minimal. Cause
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to a year over year inflationary increase.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. Just simply because it does cost us more to run the facilities.
Yes, yeah.
And
I know.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
we can't just eat that cost all the time. It has to come from somewhere. So
I mean, if you guys are, we can, if
I don't
council
know.
wishes to put them up this year. I know there was a lot of cleanup done on the fees last year and a little
Absolutely.
more,
a little more condensed
yes,
and
and
yeah.
easier to follow. But if it's council's wishes, we can certainly put those up this year.
I would be okay with some sort of inflationary increase, but I don't know how the rest of council feels about that. But I would certainly support you in that.
What's the fee schedule for that? Is that the, which one is it here?
So you wouldn't have it because there was no changes.
Oh.
So, I only provided the ones we were changing so you could see them. So, okay, so right now I believe the South Dunwich Hall is $40 for the day. 80 on a weekend or something like, yeah, we cleaned it up a lot last year and had different rates for, I mean, that's, 5% is really not that much, but
Well,
it's like, it's doable for people renting. So.
But if I remember looking at the expenses of it in our budget, it's not even close to covering, rental
No.
fees aren't even close to
No,
covering.
no.
So where can you rent a building for $40 for a day?
Right,
I think that's
right.
really cheap.
Yeah.
I would be inclined to go like maybe to 60 this year.
Thanks, Sarah. I was gonna run and get mine out of my office.
Well, this is the bylaw. I don't have the full.
Okay.
Councillor Drouillard, are you proposing we change this fiscal year or going forward?
I would leave that with the CAO Treasurer Tracy. If she feels that it's doable for this year going forward, I would certainly support that.
It's certainly doable. We will just add it to our resolution that we will also increase the community center in South Dunwich Hall by a percentage, whatever you guys choose. There's also the matter of the baseball diamonds and things, and those are so cheap. But
And in those, we're basically supporting
Yeah,
minor
that's where you
sports.
get into
So,
the- yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
facilities, I'm not so, I'm not just sure about, the diamond rentals and things like
No,
that.
and
But the
that's-
facilities,
yeah.
the pavilions, certain things like that, I could support that.
I think
Just simply
yep.
because we're eating all those additional costs and we just, like, the reality is we just can't really continue to do that to this extent. To what end do we continue to?
I
try to figure that
I'm all
out.
for that. I kind of left it alone because we did do a lot of cleanup last year and increase them. So whatever council, if you want to go 5%, you want, it's
But if you're,
6, 7.
sorry, Mayor Hens, if maybe we could look at what it cost us, like South Dunwich Hall specifically. I don't know about the community
Yeah,
center
yeah.
because it seems to be, I don't know if it's stressing people out to rent the whole thing or not. It's not as rented as often as it
Right.
used to be, I don't think. So I think you have to consider that as well. But the South Dunwich Hall for like a family reunion or a family gathering, like a 10% increase is only $4. That's really, it's still minimal.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's still really, really cheap. So I would look at, well, I'm just maybe, this could be just an exercise, but how much was there a shortfall? Look at how many hours we possibly, not to try to get to our break even point, but I'd like to see us in the next 4 years get to a break even point.
Yep.
Is that doable?
Yeah, it is.
And I wouldn't be afraid to go $10, $20, to be honest with you. I think it's still very reasonable. So.
Clerk Tara, can you just flip back to something which all these again here, just so we got it in front of us? Councilor Pepper, can you add a question or comment?
Yeah, and I guess when we're looking at that, we have to look at the in-kind donations as part of that revenue as well, right? That we lose because
For sure.
we're donating that. And I guess my only other comment would be, I agree. I think the South Dunwich Hall is probably could use an increase in the rental, but I would say only because I've done the comparison recently, the community center compared to other similar venues around us is comparable to the rents around us.
It
Yep.
is. It's very
So
comparable.
I-
Yeah, that's
I-
the problem.
But
You
if,
can't
but a
price yourself rate
5%
of-
there,
Yeah, you can't price yourself rate of no
No.
ever renting, right? But, you know, there's a lot of, not a lot of work, but there's things you gotta take into consideration, like your hydro bills, your time, right? You gotta split that out over an hour rental and, I mean, it's certainly doable, but,
Yeah, I guess I want to be clear.
It's an experiment, but, you know, if you wanted to go with start with 1% this year and, like, even if you do inflation, which was 6.9, so 7%, like at the end of December, right? So something like that. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Let's leave our CEO treasurer with some direction if we get no.
and I mean, and and at the end of the day, I think we're just weighing the balance between the service we provide with these facilities that we operate. We have a lot of fabulous facilities, but we also have to kind of try to weigh the balance of making sure that we're also doing the right thing by all of the taxpayers.
Right,
So
and our facilities are aging, like South Dunwich Hall is now starting to need more and more work. And we're not putting any money away for that, so we need to start, thinking about that as well, so. But if you guys wanna pick a percentage tonight, we can add that right into the resolution, and it can be done on the bylaw, so.
I personally would like to look at what it would take to break even and then work backwards from there. Like what's that building actually costing us? And then see, but I mean, we don't have to break even, but I'd like to know what that looks like. And then, maybe 4 years from now, we could get there. That's, I mean, that's not a percentage. That's not a 10% increase. That could be a 20 or 25% increase this year. But I still think it's very reasonable. Like, if we're asking people to pay an extra $20 with a group of 25 people renting it, that's still very reasonable. So,
Let's give our CAO treasurer some direction here. What are we looking at? You want a percent? Because time is of the essence. We're trying to put a budget together, so we need Councillor Pemberton.
Yeah, I guess I had put forward for this year. I agree with Henry. I think we should work backwards, but I would say for this year, just for ease of budget, I would propose a 7% increase.
Councillor Drouillard.
You know what? That was kind of exactly what I would support working backwards, but I think we need to start somewhere. And for this year, because we're at 6.9, I don't think 7% is out of line.
Councillor Dreyfus.
I'm in favor of that too. Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Loveland, we haven't heard you on this issue.
Well, I'm listening. I think we need an increase in South Dunwich Hall, and I can live with 7% for now, and that gives some time to look at our operating costs in the future.
Okay, I think that's clear.
Are we thinking community center and, picnic shelters as well, 7% across the board? Basically facilities? Or do you just wanna do South Dunwich Hall?
I would probably leave the community center this year. I think if we're in line, Corey. Yeah.
And the picnic tables are $75 for the day, so leave them alone, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't really cost as much, some paint once in a while and some, but, all right, so it's just South Dunwich Hall, we'll do 7%. Perfect.
Okay. Everybody's good? So Clerk Tara, the user fee bylaw update, if you're ready.
All right, moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Drouillard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the CAO Treasurer titled 2023 User Fee Bylaw Update dated March 8th, 2023 for information, and that Council approves the proposed changes to the 2023 user fees, including a 7% increase to fees for South Dunwich Hall. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Any unfinished business? Don't see anything. 18, under new business, and it's the Provincial Policy Statement 2020, and I believe Councillor Dreyfus wanted to make a statement or comments on that.
Yes, I think we made a statement when we went to Toronto, and our feelings, as a council it was a concern of ours to look at these lots that are available that don't really impact agriculture. And I think it's important that we move forward with that. And that also we're supporting, some local concerned citizen in the situation too. And I think it's important that we move on this. So that I'm in favor of moving forward, and I would support making this motion and moving forward in this policy statement. So
Let's put a resolution on the floor and we can discuss it at that time. Clerk Tara?
Does anybody want to move the motion before I put it on the floor?
Yes.
I'll also move.
Seconder for that?
I haven't seen it. I can't open it, so I can't.
We will read the motion. We have a seconder in Councillor Pemberton, so Clerk Tara.
All right, so moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, whereas the province of Ontario review of the Provincial Policy Statement 2020 PPS under the Planning Act, and whereas unique situations include land that is unfarmable where habitable dwellings had existed, but due to uncontrollable situations, the dwelling had been removed, or where property had merged on title unintentionally, and whereas opportunities to create residential lots in the prime agricultural area will help to ensure the sustainability of the rural area while still protecting the farmable land. Now therefore, the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich requests that as part of the review of the provincial policy statement, more flexibility be provided to lower and upper tier municipalities as part of lot creation, section 2.3.4, to permit for new buildable residential lots in the prime agricultural area when there are unique situations, and further that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, Elgin County, and all of its lower tier municipalities.
Any debate? I see nothing. Are no questions or concerns from council? Go for the question, Clerk Tara.
All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Any announcements? No news?
Did you go to that CCR funding announcement on last Friday? Okay, no, I just wondered if you went, if it was, if. You went. Yeah, yeah.
Ask the deputy mayor. It's in the open.
Councillor Goulart, just repeat what you just said to us.
Deputy Mayor Loveland, would you like to announce an open about watching the game on Saturday night?
Yeah, I guess.
There are people who listen to this.
Okay, certainly just make it known that the craft hockey bill announcement for the 4 finalists will be made Saturday during the hockey game, and it's good to watch that. Might be some local involvement there. We'll leave it at that.
Very good, thank you. We're ready to close session is next, but I think we'll take a break. But Clerk Terry, would you like to get us into closed?
Moved by Droulard, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich now moves into a session of the meeting that shall be closed to the public at 6:58 p.m. in accordance with Section 2392 of the Municipal Act, SO 2001, Chapter 25, for discussion of the following matters. A, labor relations or employee negotiations, Section 2392D of the Municipal Act, Public Works Department. B, labor relations or employee negotiations, Section 2392D of the Municipal Act, Medical Center. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we'll recess for.
No, go ahead.
You may begin. Yes, boss.
We're backtracking to 19 announcements.
Yeah, sorry, I did have something I wanted to tell you guys. They're gonna be starting the lower windows Monday, so we might, I'll let you know for sure when I know. I'm gonna talk to him tomorrow on what his time frame is, but we probably will be working from home, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. The office will be closed, but I will get you a definite, I'll send an email when I know for sure what we're gonna be closed. We might be able to be open Monday, and then have to close. I'll see what because if he starts in here, I just don't know how far he gets in a day. But like he takes the windows right out, so it'll be cold and noisy. So, but I will definitely give council a heads up when I find out the timeline.
Okay, thank you. So now, the only thing we have left is bylaws. Clerk Tara, it's all yours.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that bylaw 2023-18 being a bylaw to adopt an emergency management program and emergency response plan and to meet other requirements under the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? That's carried.
Next one. Bylaw 2023-19.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus.
No, we're not doing that one, are we?
Did it already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bylaw 2023, confirmed proceedings.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Drulard, that bylaw 2023-20 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipal council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? That's carried.
And everybody sees the future meetings. Next one is adjournment.
I'm away on the 22nd.
Okay.
I might be able to get on Zoom, but I can't guarantee. On the next one.
I was going to bring the budget, so maybe I'll put it off a week
Well,
or to the next one.
I can't guarantee if I can get service, so if I can, I'll be on.
When,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, when do you travel?
I go from the 20th to the 27th, going to Mexico.
Just know.
Are you going, not going on those no fly places that they just put on the news today?
No, I won't.
Did the council want to do a special meeting next Wednesday to just do the budget presentation and get it off our plates? Or do you wanna, I could do it the week after. It's totally up to you guys.
Is,
You know what? It's March break. I'm even game for a daytime meeting if it works for, doesn't work for Corey. Sorry.
We could do it on a Friday.
no, is there a way, Tracy, that you could get the budget presentation out to council while Councillor Dreyfus can see it?
I'll send out the presentation. Do you guys, you don't want the full details again, do you? Just want the presentation of the amounts and stuff like that? I can get that out, or you can look at it and, ask me any questions or. Sorry, Ken.
No problem. I could hear you. Somebody else must have had theirs on.
Cause I got such a big mouth. Yeah, I'll get the budget presentation out Friday, maybe. I've got it pretty much done. I was just waiting to get that final percentage. Well, I'd like to, just for the reserve. See, that's.
I would too.
That's what I've got in there. It's at 5, well, it'll be a little less, cause if I go to 42.5.
Let's get it out as soon as you can. That'll allow Councillor Dreyfus, and there may be input yet.
Yep.
And then I would like to still proceed with the next meeting to get this budget wrapped up.
Okay.
And you try your best to get
I'll do
on
my
if you
best to
can,
be
but
on.
at least you'll have access to it.
Yep, yep.
And it'll be the same presentation being presented, so you can go through it and come in and talk to me if there's something you need to know or.
Yeah.
Fine.
Does that work
don't
for everybody?
understand or-
Yep.
I don't want to put this thing off.
No, we can't.
No, I would like to, yeah, because I got the auditors coming in a couple weeks and I haven't been able to concentrate on year end, so. I need
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess my concern is if there's any major changes though, we need to see those complete figures, I think. I know we talked about taking some money out of gravel and maybe we got to put some more in dust layer. I don't know where you are with that, but.
Do you want, I can tell you the changes I made, or I can reprint them all and send them to you guys if you want. It's not a big deal. You can
It's
see
kind of
the
nice
changes.
if we have them, we can put them in our binders and take out the old pages and then.
I will, when
something we gotta go.
When I'm done with the salaries and everything, I will reprint all those and then when you see the budget presentation, it's gonna be all those just rolled up, so you'll see
Yeah,
them.
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. You have your marching orders.
I wish I was marching to Mexico.
Well, maybe he'll
Can I
take you
just
with.
ask one quick question? How are we doing with getting lifeguards? Did we do
We
well?
got 7.
Sweet. just curiosity. Thank you.
And I hope that extra is factored into the budget.
She is, well, I already had that in there.
Yeah.
I got it. I said, we're getting like.
That's good news, but it's going to cost us more.
Yeah.
Clerk Chair, adjourn, please.
Moved by Drewlard, seconded by Loveland, that the meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich closes at 8:02 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thanks all.
Okay, we'll see everyone.
Bye, Ken.
Take care of yourself, Ken.
I'm on the